child believing you're not going to follow through is an essential step to raising a brat.
A brat is a spoiled, obnoxious child that is used to getting his or her own way, typically because their parents give in on just about anything that they want. So the idea of a brat also gets carried over to older people, typically young adults who are, oftentimes doing fairly well as actors, or maybe they're computer programmers, or they started their own company or whatever, and they're also obnoxious, so they call them brats. There was a group of actors quite a number of years ago. They were called the Brat Pack, and a lot of them went on to become fairly well-known, famous actors even today, years later. So a brat can be used to refer to a misbehaving child, but it can also be used to refer to a misbehaving adult too, who is presumably acting like a child, but it also suggests the idea of somebody that's precocious who's also talented at the same time. So some singer or some actor, they would say, well, he's a brat. He thinks he's so great, and he is pretty good, but he still doesn't have to act that way. So for example, a singer or an actor where people says, yeah, well, he's pretty good, but he doesn't need to act like a brat. He doesn't need to act like a child. He should start to act more like an adult. Usually acting like a brat means they have tantrums because they don't get what they want. If somebody or a group of people are adults and they're called brats, it means they're behaving in an obnoxious way. A lot of bands, when they start off, they're pretty young, and the musicians, more often than not, act like brats. Then they get older, they get more mature, and in a lot of cases, they still act like brats, even though they're more middle-aged than young people. Good example of a brat would be Justin Bieber. Even though he's something like 18, people are sort of expecting that he should start to act like an adult, but yet he's got some neighbor that annoys him, and so he and all of his buddies, they go and they egg the house, and he ended up getting sued because of that too. There's a tennis player, John McEnroe, who's now well into middle age. He was also considered to be a brat even during most of his adult years, because anytime he didn't get his way, he would yell, he'd scream, he'd throw his tennis racket around, and then he'd go and pout. So he was a pretty well-known brat. And so was Jimmy Connors. He was also a brat too.
Go out to Del Taco to get me something to eat, because I did not eat anything at all today. Yeah, so yeah, I am starving like Marvin right now.
Starving like Marvin just means you're hungry. And the reason they pick the name Marvin is because it rhymes with STARVIN. So that's a good example of what's called an alliteration, which is where a sound is repeated to make an expression out of it. And there's a number of alliterations that use names. For example, Chatty Cathy would refer to a woman or girl who likes to talk a lot. Or in like Flint means that someone has a good connection to something. So they just pick the name Flint because it rhymes with in. And also Ready Freddy, which means that someone's ready, and they just pick the name Freddy because it rhymes with ready. So alliterations are form of entertainment a lot of times. They can also be a way of saying something that's easily remembered because the expressions rhyme. So if you say I'm ready like Freddy, or I'm starving Marvin, or see you later alligator, it's a way of adding fun, and it's also easy to remember. I forgot to eat breakfast this morning, and I had a lot of work to do, so I didn't even have time for lunch. So when I got home from work, I was starving like Marvin.
That's all for today. Tom Taylor is an ESL tutor. He teaches English in the United States and outside, all over the world, using Skype. He can be reached at his website, which is
ESL-fullsteamahead.com.
Click on this link and check out his website and email with questions. Thank you, Tom, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.